Jaya Radha Madhavam Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yamunatira Manachari Yamunatira Manachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Madhava Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtotra Shachi Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtotra Shachi Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Shri Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Samaveda Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The Mohini Murti incarnation bewilders Lord Shiva. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 8th canto, chapter 12, text 38. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Dishtya Tvam Vibudha Shreshtha Svam Nishtham Atmana Stitaha Yan Me Stri Rupaya Swaram Mohito Api Anga Maya Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Dishtya-tvam Vibhuda Shrestha Swam Nishtam Atmanastitaha Yanme Stri Rupaya Svairam Mohito Pyangamaya Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Dishtya-tvam Vibhuda Shrestha Swam Nishtam Atmanastitaha Yanme Stri Rupaya Svairam Mohito Pyangamaya Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Dishtya-tvam Vibhuda Shrestha Swam Nishtam Atmanastitaha Yanme Stri Rupaya Swaram Mohito Pyangamaya. Srirupaya Swaram Mohitopyangamaya. Srirupaya Bhagavanu Vacha Srishtam Anyone online?
Shri Bhagavanu Vacha
Bhagavanu Vacha
Ishvatvam Vibudashtishtam
Slishtam
Swam Nishtam Atmanashtita
Swamishtam Atmanas
Yan Me Sri Rupaya Svairam Mohitopyangamayaya.
Anyone else online? Okay, synonyms. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Dishtya, all auspiciousness. Tvam, unto you. Vibuddha Sheshtha, or best of all the demigods. Svam, in your own. Nishtam, fixed situation. Atmana, of your own self. Sthitaha, you are situated. Yat, us. Me, mine. Sthirupaya, appearance like a woman. Svairam, sufficiently. Mohitaha, enchanted. Api, in spite of. Anga, O Lord Shiva. Maya, by my potency. Translation and the purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O best of the demigods, although you have been amply harassed because of my potency in assuming the form of a woman, you were established in your position. Therefore, may all good fortune be upon you. Purport. Since Lord Shiva is the best of the demigods, he is the best of all devotees. Vaishnavanam yata Śambhu. His exemplary character was therefore praised by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who gave his benediction by saying, May all good fortune be upon you. When a devotee becomes a little proud, the Supreme Lord sometimes exhibits his supreme power to dissipate the devotee's misunderstanding. After being amply harassed by Lord Vishnu's potency, Lord Shiva resumed his normal and agitated condition. This is the position of a devotee. A devotee should not be agitated under any circumstances, even in the worst reverses. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 6.22, Yasmin stito na dukkina guru napi vichalyate. Because of his full faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, A devotee is never agitated, even in the greatest trials. This pridelessness is possible only for the first-class devotees, of whom Lord Śambhu is one. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakolpatrubhishcha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation one more time. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the best of the demigods, although you have been amply harassed because of my potency in assuming the form of a woman, you are established in your position. Therefore, may all good fortune be upon you. So this is Krishna, or Lord Vishnu, is speaking to Lord Shiva, and he is blessing him. He's giving him all fortune. He says, Dishtatvam, may all good fortune be upon you. And this is quite a blessing to receive after feeling proud. And I really like what Srila Prabhupada said in the commentaries here. When a devotee becomes a little proud, the Supreme Lord sometimes exhibits his supreme power to dissipate the devotee's misunderstanding. So this feeling of proud is simply just a misunderstanding. And sometimes Krishna can help us to recognize that quality. Although it might take... it's not always the case. We sometimes struggle with not even noticing that quality. We're feeling proud, but we're not noticing that within us. Pride is due to illusion, and surrender, the full surrender, is not possible if you're feeling proud. This is what Srila Prabhupada also explains, and it makes so much sense. So an endeavor for material opulence is against the principle of pure devotional service. And why we endeavor for material opulence is because we're feeling proud. This is also known as upashaka. This is one of the obstacles on the path of devotional service. There's also vasanas, the unfulfilled desires that we've been cultivating for such a long time. But upashakas are mentioned in the conversation of Srila Rupa Goswami and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when they were speaking about the Bhakti Lata Bij. The Bhagyavan Jiva receives the seed of devotional service. But what happens sometimes is, in the course of our practice, we cultivate material desires and mistake the pure bhakti for something material desires, something that is disturbing our progress, which is known as upashakas. And it is described in this chapter in Madhya Lila that these material desires take different forms. It starts with the improper behavior, which is known as nishidachar. This is accepting forbidden things that are not favored by Shastra. And then from that improper behavior, kutinati is developed. This is fault finding, or another word is hypocrisy, when we are cheating others and ourselves. When we're acting internally, we're feeling one way, but externally we're acting differently. And so when that happens, we experience illusion, and the tendency to be proud is also born from that. And because we're feeling proud, we are not satisfied. And that dissatisfaction leads us to further aparadas. Aparadas not only in the practice of devotional service and the holy name, but also towards the jivas, jiva himsa. We become envious of different living entities. And then we can insult them in the mind, then verbally, and then even physically. So that's something that can happen to us, and will happen actually, because it's a necessary step in our spiritual progress to go through this anartha nivritti stage. First comes adar shraddha, then sadhusanga, bhajana, kriya, and then anartha nivritti. And to get further in development of this spiritual life, Bhakti Lata Bija, so it grows further, we need to go through the steps of Anartha Nivritti. So therefore, in our Vedic scripture, we see many examples how we can get over these obstacles, upashakas. One example given, in the same chapter of the Madhya Lila, 19th chapter, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives an advice. If you notice these creepers, if you notice these upashakas, you just take them out, don't feed them. And how to do that, practically speaking, is if you're feeling that something is not right, something is out of place, you take shelter of the Vaishnavas and confess your mind to them, confess your mind to the spiritual master, and see a way to be corrected. Because in order to get over this anartha nivritti, we need to put a lot of effort, sadhana bhakti, a lot of internal work will have to take place. And also another example is when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Gundicha temple and he was cleansing the temple. He did it 2 times. He did it personally with his associates, brooming, the watering. He started watering from the ceiling and then all over the walls, and then the altar was cleansed and all the room. And in this way we can see that the reason why this temple is being cleansed is because the temple is a home for Lord Krishna, for the Lord Jagannath. So therefore we also need to clean our heart in such a way that Krishna can take a seat in our heart. So there's a few examples. And like I said, pride is due to illusion, and it's not possible to really experience something real in devotional life with pride, along with pride. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur once said that if you hear and chant without trying to give up the offenses, then you just simply becoming more materially attached. It's a sense gratification. And here we see that although Lord Shiva was horrified at the potency of Lord Vishnu, he actually didn't feel ashamed. He was rather feeling proud. But he was feeling proud for, you can say, the right reason. He was feeling defeated by Lord Vishnu. And in this way we also learn that he wasn't chasing the material energy of the Lord. He was chasing Yoga Maya, the internal energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he therefore was able to remain undisturbed. He wasn't victimized by Maya. He was possessed by internal potency. And by the mercy of Krishna, in this example, he was also able to control himself. So by external potency, Krishna controls everyone. Daivihesha gunamai, we know that, especially when it comes to attraction between male and female. Pumsastriya, mituni bhavam etam, mituni bhavam. We, as devotees, are trying to cultivate the Krishna Anushilanam. We're trying to cultivate bhav towards Krishna or his devotees. But material people, they very successfully cultivate bhav towards the sense enjoyment, and specifically at the top is sexual enjoyment. So they also have that strong determination in life. They also determined to do so many things, construct big buildings and work, make money, travel, all these things, because they have that bhav for sexual enjoyment. But as devotees, we are more interested in bhav for the Lord, for Krishna. We're more interested to please him. So to captivate Śambhu, Lord Vishnu exhibited his internal potency to act in such a way that his external potency would act. The example that is listed and given here in Srimad Bhagavatam is that Mohini Murti, she was at first smiling. It's described actually. She was very beautifully playing with the ball, and then she glanced at him, and she would slightly smile in bashfulness. It's actually interesting how if you see a woman being playful with you, but at the same time when she's shy, it intensifies the emotion and your desire to enjoy her, because you see that there's some kind of intrigue. It's intriguing. She's playing with you, but also she's feeling shy. So that's how Mohini Murti was also behaving. And eventually, Lord Shiva, he couldn't take it anymore. He was with his allies, he was with his friends, and with Bhavani, Durga Devi. But although he was surrounded by all of them, he couldn't really resist that strong temptation. And it's really funny how Mahini Murti, she was exhibiting she was trying to captivate Lord Shiva through the internal potency, but acting as though as she was trying to get him by the external potency. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, Bahiranga Shakti. And this is, we know that this is, Bahir means everywhere, the external potency of the Lord, but Antaranga Shakti, this is the Chit Shakti, the internal potency, Daiva Shakti of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's how we see Lord Shiva being captivated. He's not attracted by the external potency, Bahiranga. He's attracted actually by the internal potency. Again, that's because he is a great Vaishnava. He's the greatest devotee, as mentioned here, Vaishnavanam Yata Śambhu. And then at some point he realized his mistake of being victimized by the potency, although the internal potency. He realized that I'm feeling proud. I'm feeling so happy that the Lord Vishnu victimized me in such a way. I have such a glorious master that he can even trick me, the best of the Vaishnavas. And then it says he would easily Lord Vishnu easily bewildered Lord Shiva, and he felt proud to have such an exalted master. And in the purport here, Srila Prabhupada mentions the text of Bhagavad Gita 6.22, Yasmin stito anadukina guru napi vichalyate. This is the situation of a Vaishnava. Although there's a lot of guru napis, difficulties that a Vaishnava is going through in life, mostly it's the internal difficulties. He is still not baffled by them. He's not agitated. Stita pragya, this is mentioned in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita as well, that the Vaishnava is sama dukkha sukha dhira. And then samrita tvaya kalpate. He's, because he's not affected by duality of happiness and distress, he's eligible to attain liberation, or the Brahma Sukha platform, Brahma Bhuta platform, from which the actual pure devotional service can begin. He's never shaken in the midst of greatest difficulty. Like that. So why Shiva was not disturbed is because she's a first-class devotee, also mentioned by Srila Prabhupada. First-class devotee is known as Bhagavatottamaha, or Rasika. There's a famous text in the Anti Lila, one of the last verses in Anti Lila that Jivira Prabhu can help me recite. Parimala Vasita, this one.
His lotus feet. Padimala Vasa the Bhuvanam Sodason Mada the Rasagaroram Bum. Gidada Chidanam Bojam Kakada the Sikasumi Hade Hatun.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, you want me to read it?
Yeah.
I don't have it queued up here.
I have it.
Then you read it.
I can read it. So this is speaking about the Rasikas. And here, Lord Shiva is a Rasika. So realized devotees are like bumblebees, roll and bum, maddened by their own mellows at Krishna's lotus feet. The scent, parimala, the sense of those lotus feet perfumes the entire world. Who is the realized soul that could give them up? So everywhere the Rasikas go, they can sense that beautiful scent of Giridhara Charanam Bojam, the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or Giridhari. And this is Lord Shiva is constantly also sensing, constantly feeling that beautiful scent. Sarva Bhuteshu Yat Pashyat Bhagavad Bhavam Atmanaha, one of the 9 Yugendras, Havi Yugendra, is mentioning also in the 11th canto, that the Vaishnavas see the Lord, or Uttamadhikaris, they see the Lord within everything in this world, and all the paraphernalia they engage in the Lord's service. And Srila Prabhupada nicely says, nothing can exist without Krishna, and Krishna is the Lord of everything. This is the basic principle of Krishna consciousness. It's very simple, yet as advised, the pure devotees, they see the Lord everywhere, but as advised by one of our acharyas, Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur, he says that merely theoretical academic understanding of this is not enough. We have to practically realize this. And the way he says how we can realize this is by eagerly participating in the preaching of Krishna consciousness throughout the world. This is the activity on the level of Madhyama Adhikari. And then when that activity becomes so intense, the devotee experience lolium, greed, to be fully engaged in preaching the message of Krishna consciousness. His only desire is to please Krishna and nothing else. He is not attracted by anything within the universe. So in this way, from Madhyama Adhikari, that Vaishnava, he becomes an Uttama Adhikari. All he wants to do is propagate the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He accepts disciples, he risks his life, health in traveling, preaching, and giving Krishna consciousness to other devotees. So this is Uttama Adhikari Vaishnava. Madhyama Adhikari is the one who, as mentioned in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, realizes there's Ishvara, Prakriti, and there's also different living entities. The Purushas, we have the first class living entity who is a Bhakta, so he makes friends with them. And then we have the non-envious living entities, those who are favorable to Bhakti, the process of Bhakti. And he tries to preach to them, he tries to make them he gives them the mercy, the kripa, and engages them in spiritual life, devotional services. And then also we have the asuras who are not favorable to the practice of devotional services, so he avoids them. This is a position of a Madhyama Adhikari. Say it again. Ishvara, yeah, he serves the Ishvara. Yes, he is serving. Yeah, exactly. He's serving Ishvara out of love. And his goal is Prema Pamurtamahan. So, but in the course of preaching, the Madhyama Adhikari often faces, what we're dealing in this section of Bhagavatam, he's facing these internal difficulties, the pride, lobha and pratishtha and puja. So these difficulties can be overcome again in the 13th chapter. The qualities of knowledge I mentioned, amanitvam, adambitvam. Adambitvam means pridelessness, ahimsa kshantarajyavam. But the main quality actually is maya chananya yogina bhaktir avyabhicharini. That means that we constantly strive for devotional service. We constantly strive for pure unalloyed devotional service. It's most important. And then all the qualities develop from that. So if we engage ourselves in devotional service, then we can, with humility, there's qualities, there's, how many, 20 qualities mentioned in that text? 26 of qualities of a Vaishnava. It's like a ladder, but the first step is being, amanitvam, is being humble, humility. Only in this way we can truly kirtaniya sadahari, engaged without avyabhicharana, without deviation in devotional service. So, and how do we get free from pride? That's another very important question that we can ask ourselves reading this part of the Bhagavatam. In the 11th canto also it's mentioned that, I'll read the text, it's a nice verse. This is 11:34 through 41. Krishna is speaking to Uddhava, and he basically says that you should act as my servant. A devotee should never advertise his devotional activities. So he acts as a servant of Krishna, and he's not trying to speak about his achievements, glorify himself. So I've done so many things in devotional life. You can see this. This is a great achievement I've had. Therefore, this service that he does is not giving him this impediment, the false prestige, the false pride. But the translation of this verse is as follows. There's a few things that we can see that can help us in cultivating Pridelessness. My dear Uddhava, one can give up false pride and prestige by engaging in the following devotional activities. One may purify oneself by seeing, touching, worshipping, serving, and offering prayers of glorification and obeisances to my form as the deity and to my pure devotees. So this is what we can do. We can see, touch, worship, serve, offer prayers of glorification before the altar and before the Vaishnavas. We glorify the Vaishnavas, our spiritual master. And in this way, we can cultivate this mentality or the quality of pridelessness. And then one should glorify my transcendental qualities and activities, hear with love and faith the narrations of my glories, and constantly meditate on me. That's another thing. We hear, and then from hearing we remember and we meditate. One should offer to me whatever one acquires, and accepting oneself as my eternal servant. One should give it oneself completely to me. One should always discuss my birth and activities and enjoy life by participating in festivals such as Janmashtami, which glorify my pastimes. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that the fasting on Ekadashi and engage or Janmashtami is the mother of devotion. So if we do these things, it can also very much help us. In my temple, one should also participate in festivals and ceremonies by singing, dancing, playing musical instruments, and discussing me with other Vaishnavas. So this is what we do every day, right? Sometimes, of course, we're not really dancing so much, but dancing is very important to, it pleases Radha Giridhari, pleases Lord Chaitanya Nityananda and Shri Panchatattva, and Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. So we should, as much as we can, feel enthusiastic to dance and sing before the deities. Play musical instruments, discuss, as we do now, discuss the Vaishnava literature. And the list goes on. Then we observe religious vows, we take initiation, faithfully serve the deity of the Lord, individually and in cooperations with others. We work to construct the temple, cities, then we offer different paraphernalia to the Lord, and the list goes on like that. So we should be trained to become a humble servant, engaged in unalloyed, unstoppable, unvyabhicharana, undeviated activities to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And of course, we can't really serve Krishna directly. Even on the altar, we're not serving Krishna directly. We're serving Krishna through the via medium of Guru Parampara, the spiritual master. Although it seems like we're touching and dressing, but actually the service is not accepted merely just on our own efforts. It's accepted through the mercy of Guru Parampara, because our senses and our intentions are might not exactly be pure, and therefore we need to do this through the spiritual master in Srila Prabhupada. So this is something about this pastime. I'll read the translation again. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O best of the demigods, although you have been amply harassed because of my potency in assuming the form of a woman, you were established in your position. Therefore may all good fortune be upon you. We read from Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th Canto, 12th chapter, text 38. We spoke about pride. We spoke about eternal difficulties that is necessary for us to experience and go through in spiritual life. And we also spoke about how the devotees, the different classes of devotees, they are undisturbed in the face of different material agitations in life. And the best example, at least here in this verse and in this part of the Srimad Bhagavatam, is the Rasika, Lord Shiva, Bhagavatattamaha. He is exhibiting these wonderful qualities. Would you like to add anything to what I've said, or would you like to ask any questions, or maybe perhaps make corrections of something I said that was improper?
I'd just like to add one little thing. The importance of the 11th canto. You know, I remember when I believe it or not, I got a translation of the Uddhava Gita from, of all places, the Ramakrishna mission. But that was instrumental because just the kind of things that we're reading here are so central to the practice of bhakti. And it just inspired me to pursue bhakti, go to the Hare Krishna temple, you know. So we shouldn't neglect that 11th canto if we are systematically studying the Bhagavatam. It's so important.
Yeah, 11th canto is wonderful. Vasika Sindhu.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. You covered very essential points. I personally feel that overcoming anarthat is a very difficult part of one's life, and I think if we have nice, loving relationships with all the devotees, right, that helps to, that helps like a balm and help and keeps us enthusiastic and motivated to continue. Yeah, that is what I want to say. Thank you.
Yeah, if we sincere and if we have intelligence given by Srila Prabhupada and Krishna, we can notice in the course of our practice that there's something that is not not right. There's something that requires attention. And in the course of our spiritual life, we can notice and take, as I mentioned, also take shelter of the Vaishnava spiritual master, so we can get out of this this situation. And to properly do that, we also study Srimad Bhagavatam. And there's a nice verse which I was recently meditating on in the 11th canto, chapter 3, text 30. It says, one should learn how to associate with the devotees of the Lord by gathering with them to chant the glories of the Lord. This process is most purifying. There's nothing more purifying than the process of Sankirtan. So if we chant and hear and glorify in our humble way as we can, everyone's qualified to try to pitch in something, to say something, glorify the Lord in the way that they can. As devotees, those develop their love and friendship. In the Bhagavatam, it's also mentioned that we might come with the false ego and envious mentality. We might come with some disturbances in the mind. But when we glorify the Lord, this is purifying us, and we develop a friendship among each other. And then we feel mutual happiness and satisfaction when that happens. So this is such a wonderful uniting process of chanting and hearing. And by those encouraging one another, they're able to give up material sense gratification, which is the cause of all suffering. So then we encourage each other. If one devotee is going ahead and he is chanting nicely, he accepts a spiritual master, another devotee can encourage him. You should also do that. Or just by seeing sadachar, he can be inspired, and in this way, give up material engagement and grow also. Take devotional life seriously. So this is important. Devotee association, very essential. You cannot become a devotee if you don't have association with other devotees. And you cannot become a rasika bhakta if you don't meet a rasika bhakta. You have to meet that devotee. Anything else? Chris.
So I understand, well, it's obviously complicated, the hitch of the material world. It's obviously very easy to get stuck into it, and you end up doing a whole bunch of extra things that you don't need to do, especially with the idea of getting hooked on sense gratification. With that said, I'm curious why there's a real focus, a weight placed on going away from the material world. Why not go into the material world with the devotional mindset? So like book distribution, you guys do in Balboa Park, why not go and get like a publishing deal and really spread the message and sell the books and become a New York Times #1 bestseller. Like really take the material world by storm. Why step back from it?
Yeah, that's a good question. We can all increase and do more in preaching and flooding the world with Krishna consciousness and literatures and everything. Also, actually, before I say anything else, we do both. We're not just acting very much enthusiastically and actively sharing Krishna consciousness, but we do the internal work by giving Krishna consciousness or training ourselves. So that happens in the morning when we chant japa, for example. When we sing the bhajans, we feel inspired by that practice and we feel strong. This is where we get our strength and enthusiasm. And just like in this text, as I mentioned in the 11th canto, that from association, we get purified and we become strong because of that affectionate relationship we have with devotees. So in this way, we're ready to go and conquer the world, so to say. But in the time of Srila Prabhupada, that was happening a lot. We know that when Srila Prabhupada went to San Francisco from New York and then to Canada and various countries, obviously this was happening all over the world because of the presence of Uttama Bhakta, because of the presence of the Sanipati Bhakta, the general of all the Vaishnavas, Srila Prabhupada. And now we can also try to aspire to please Srila Prabhupada in this way and distribute the holy name massively. And we're trying to do that. And I mean, there's many things that we can say, but it requires surrender and also the response of the public too. You know, if we're trying to preach the holy name and if we're trying to give Krishna consciousness, but the public is not really is not really reacting properly to us, to that message, then what can we do? We try our best. We just, in our mission, every day, we're trying to please our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, by endeavoring to be strong and to go out to give Krishna consciousness to other people. But we do make an effort here. We have our evening programs. We also, some devotees go out to bring literatures in the masses. So maybe we can see that on this level, we are not fully prepared to give Krishna consciousness as massively as it was happening in the times of Srila Prabhupada. And maybe the crowd is also not as responsive as it was. You know, for example, in Russia, when Krishna consciousness blew out, a request for Krishna consciousness was there, or generally for religious practice was there, for spiritual practice. There was this curtain, you know, in the Soviet time, the communistic times, people were not practicing anything at all. So when devotees started going out and distributing literatures, in that way, they were so amazed to see such a pure message of the Vedic teachings. So people really wanted it. They needed it. They were thirsty for it. But as far as now, we can only do so much. We can only inspire people by our, endeavors, by our behaviors. So I'd say that in order to preach massively in this way, we need to be strong ourselves. We need to become very enthusiastic and determined, and very, in many ways, knowledgeable of the Shastra and culture where we're preaching. So, but we do make efforts that if you pay attention, you can recognize that they're there. So, this is something about that. But of course we can increase. That's something that we're all thinking about all the time. We can increase, we can do more book distribution, more printing, more sharing, more preaching. That's always on our mind, on the mind of the devotees. So we're not just here to stay at the temple, We're here to actually give the holy name to other people, share it with others. One time Srila Prabhupada, when he went to San Francisco for the first time to participate in this big musical festival, mantra rock dance, Brahmananda was left at a New York temple as a temple leader. He was overseeing the temple. And at first he was wondering, how can we go on without Swamiji? How can we go on without Srila Prabhupada, you know? But then he realized that we can carry on. It's not as difficult. And he said that the focal principle, the main principle, and how we're able to do that, if we just chant. So if we chant sincerely, if we desire to preach and give Krishna consciousness to others, although Srila Prabhupada is not with us physically, we can still have his company in a different way, Vani. And in this way we can, as enthusiastically preach Krishna consciousness in the world. Like that. But we should encourage each other. If someone's, one devotee is lacking something or not understanding something or not feeling as enthused, we can inspire and like that help each other. It's a mutual effort. When we can't really do it on our just individually. It's a mutual thing. We should preach. We should have good facilities, good prasadam, good programs, and all these things. They have to carry on nicely in order to make difference in the world. So in the front and in the back, we all should work together. Hare Krishna. Anything else?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol, this is Jamuna Jivana Prabhu. Thank you for class, Dvijamani. Very inspiring class.
How are your Gauranitai deities?
They're very nice. They're doing well. They're doing well. They're happy to have a home. Very grateful that they're in my home.
Did you have a comment or question?
Yes, question. Earlier in the class you mentioned how we have unfulfilled material desires. And I'm wondering, the question is, as we perform Bhakti Yoga, do we assume that those material desires, unfulfilled material desires, go away naturally? Or do we have to actually live through those material desires?
Yeah, those are called vasanas, the unfulfilled material desires. Well, it depends, because if you can dovetail the desires you have in Krishna's service, then you can very nicely engage them in your day-to-day life of Krishna consciousness. But if those desires are not conducive to a spiritual practice, then of course, just like the forest fire sometimes is necessary to balance life in the forest, it burns to ashes certain living entities like snakes, that just to balance out the atmosphere in the forest. So similarly, this Krishna consciousness is so potent that it's going to burn all the things that are not conducive and not helping us. But of course, for that to take place, we need to really sincerely and seriously take shelter of the holy name. We have to be very practical and not just, as mentioned by Srila Vishnatha Chakravarti Thakur, not just accept things theoretically. We have to really put things into a modern perspective and practically try to be Krishna conscious in this 21st century, in 2025. How do we do that? We have to, in many ways, use the technologies we have, internet preaching, and even selling books on the internet. That's practical, and that's what people can accept and what people like and want. So we have to adjust to the time and circumstances. So, but yes, if you're Krishna conscious, if you have desires, it's completely normal. We can't just give them up, So it's not an artificial practice. We try to use everything in service of the Lord. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandha, right? So this is how we see and understand Krishna consciousness. Does that help at all?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for your attention. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.